Okay, this tutorial I'm going to sort of deal with repeatable patterns. These are quite useful, necessary things basically, because you can use them in lots of different occasions. I was doing some yesterday and I found some tutorials on the internet. Some of them were okay, but some of them were not so good because they did simple basic designs, and what the whole point of a repeatable pattern is to show you how to do complex patterns and repeat them in an effective way. So hopefully this tutorial will prove this. I found some brushes on our website as well. In the written version of the blog I'll give you links to these brushes because they're not mine, so I want to give them credit. So basically what I'm doing is I'm starting with a palette, okay, a document. I'm going to give it a new layer just to give it a colour. I want to make it look interesting. What I'm going to do is just give it some kind of oldie, ochre colour, like so. Okay. What I'm going to do is add to this, and what I'm going to add to this is some body parts. So I'm going to make them slightly darker, just to make it look like some old paper. I'm not going to necessarily make everything else. I'm just going to apply it to this colour. I'm going to make a new layer, and then I'm going to go to brushes. What I do now is I'll just simply find the brushes I want. If I just look through this list, I should find them on this list somewhere. Anatomy, there we go. Let's press OK. What it's going to do is ask me to press OK or append. You don't want to delete the brushes you already have, so I'll just press append, okay, like so. And what you'll do is when you've selected the brush thing, you can scroll down. You'll notice you have these attached now here to your palette. We have several different types of. Let's see if I can see what it looks like. No, it's not let me to see these without actually clicking on them. But basically, I've got a hand, for instance. If I go over, just select it. There you go. There's a hand. All right. I don't want to do anything at the moment because what we've got to be aware of is when we're creating a repeatable pattern, we have to make it so that it repeats, and we need to know where it repeats. Okay. So first things first. With my rulers open, I'm just going to close this so I can see everything. With my rulers open, I'm going to make two guides on the vertical, both at 100 pixels away from the edge. Okay, and the same on the horizontal, like so. That's why I've made the document 700 by 700, so I can just literally have a 500 box in the middle and then have enough gap inside and outside to allow for this to work properly. I'm going to get back to my brushes. Very important fact. Make sure you put everything on different layers. Okay, this is the whole point of this. What you have to do as well, let me just try to clarify some things. I'll close the brush again because I don't want to get too confusing. This is the box, okay, we're going to create as a repeat pattern. It's a bit obvious to understand. Whatever appears on this line is going to be repeated on this line and so forth. And same here, what's going to be repeated here is going to be repeated there, up and down. Okay. What isn't so clear is whatever appears in this corner is going to appear in this corner. Yeah, and same with this corner. It's going to be repeated in this corner. Yeah. It's one thing you have to be aware of because basically whatever happens there happens here. Alright? So this is what you've got to be aware of, and that's the difficult thing you have to understand. So hopefully I'll try to show you how to do this. Click on my brush, I don't want it that big, so I just use my square keys to reduce it. What we do, and what I suggested to my students yesterday when I did this, say for instance I'm going to start off simple, I'm going to put this hand here. What I'm going to notice is a point that touches that line. You'll notice the gap in between the index and middle finger is touching that line on the shape. So I'm happy with that. I'm just going to click. Okay, and there's my hand. Alright, it appears on layer 1. Now what I need to do is to repeat it, obviously. So I go to my move tool, holding down my Alt key, it turns into this cursor, which means I can copy it. As soon as I start dragging, I'm going to press the shift as well. Move it up, and I'm just going to move the hand to a point where that line where I connected on the first point, it was just there. connects. And in theory, that is now repeated. So if I made the pattern, this will go over and over again, up and down, vertically and horizontally. Okay, so I'm going to make a new layer, find another piece of artwork I want to use, go back to brushes. What else have we got? We've got lungs, backbone. What's this one? Looks like a stomach or something. Right, we'll put the stomach and see if we can make this work in the corner. I'll put it in this corner here, and I'll see how, if I can show you how this has got to work. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to make that horizontal appear on that line. And I'm going to make that horizontal appear on that line. Like so. Okay, so we've got a stomach now. I'm going to duplicate it again. As I said before, this has got to duplicate over here first. Right, so I'm going to copy it, hold down my shift again, move it so basically everything is in the repeated area. Okay. Now though, as I said, theoretically that's got to repeat there. So what I've got to do is also drag it down here and repeat it on that axis as well. Okay, you understand that? Hopefully. Right, what I'm going to do is make a new layer, get the new brush again, find another object that I might like. Let's get another piece of natural and as a back. What you can do as well is obviously place things in the centre. It's not a definite thing. You have to have everything on these edges. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. What else have we got? That's not very interesting. Oh, let's put an ear in. Okay, I'm going to get my ear, reduce it slightly, make sure I make a new layer. I'm going to put my ear just finding a crossover point. Line just there. Like so. And then simply, that's just an easy one that just goes right across to the other side. Like so. There. As I said before as well, that will repeat in that corner as well. Okay, so what we've got to do is make sure we don't copy the wrong one. Just click on that. I've just got to repeat this one in this corner as well. So basically that goes there. So anything that's in the corner has to be repeated 4 times. Alright, simple to understand hopefully. Right, what we're going to do now is just do a final couple of brushes. One's just going to go here just to fill the gap. See if we can find an interesting one. I don't know what the hell that was. That'll do, it's just a small, yeah, I'm just going to stick that in there. Like so. You can get, we've done the lungs. No, what's this one? It's got some nice text on it. So what I'm going to do with that one is to stick that here. So make it, you know, oh, it's got eye. That's very interesting. But you notice I haven't made anything cross over. You can obviously make all these cross over. Anyway, I made a problem there. Did something different there. Right, let me just quickly remove that. You have to do things on different layers, and that's why you see what happened was I had a mistake there, simply because I wasn't concentrating and you drag 2 instead of one of the objects, which you don't want to do obviously. Okay, so I'm going to just copy that over to the side, like so. You notice it's starting to cross over here, for instance, doesn't matter. Okay. So you see we're building this up slowly. Final thing, I'm just going to try and find one that goes into that area there just to make it a little bit more interesting on that corner. What haven't we had? We've got an ear. What's this one? It's a bit too big. And, that's an interesting shape. Right, just going to reduce that, stick it in the middle of that gap goes there, that's teeth. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just copy that down, so the middle tooth of that one goes into the centre like that. Okay, so we're done. That's our shape. What we have to do now is get rid of the outlying areas. We don't need those. So what we do is just simply get our crop tool, making sure it's exactly on that grid. It doesn't matter if it doesn't appear on that grid. It's the first time because we can just simply adjust it and make sure. Like so. Like so. Click. This is our pattern that's going to repeat. Okay. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because you don't want it that big. What is it at the moment? 500. I'm going to make it 250, just half it. Like so. And then on this panel, I'm just going to flatten the image. Okay, because what we've got to do is sharpen it slightly to bring detail out. Okay, that's our pattern. So what we need to do now is go to define pattern here. Okay, I'm just going to call it anatomy. Okay, press OK. That's it. That's all we're doing for that. We don't need to do anything more with that. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to make a rather large document just to show you the effect. 1200 by 1200. And we have an enormous grid now. This is 50% by the way. So all I'm going to do, just to show you what happens, is I'm going to go to Fill. Now you go to Foreground Colour, like so. Pattern. Choose your pattern. And then press OK. And you'll notice everything's repeated. If I zoom in, there's a little bit of a problem with the highlighting of the colour. You can affect and change that basically. Okay, but basically we have it so that these areas are in the corner area. Okay, that's the whole point, to make it so it looks like everything's patched together, but in a very kind of compact and interesting way. Okay, that's how you make a repeatable pattern.